Hello, everyone. Simon, Betty, good to see you. This has been an interview that's been in the making for a very long time, and one I've been looking forward to for a very long time because, Betty, I've been following you on X. I think we've had some interactions in the comment section. It might have been actually after some of the stuff that TokenWorks were doing that we sort of started engaging with each other. I got a follow from you, and then I started following your project. Obviously, I know it was like an OG 2022 project that did really well. But just really appreciate you diving on, and obviously Simon as well. But just for those of like people seeing you for the first time,
Yes.
who are you? What's your story, and kind of what's your background in the space?
I am the co-founder of Deadfellaz. So we're an NFT project that launched Friday the 13th of August, 2021. And I've just been a mainstay in Web3 since I guess everything started kicking off. And I'm still here, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, or not, I think a little bit maybe. And yeah, that's me.
I love it. So one thing that stands out to me, especially with these NFT projects, is your kind of perseverance. I don't know if you know this stat, but there's 274,000 NFT projects, and currently there's only 6,000 registering trading volume. And I know that there's a whole bunch of people that are usually in multiple projects. And let's just say you're in 10 and you're expecting all 10 to come through. I put these odds through ChatGPT, and it said that for all 10 of them to come in, you're 600 times more likely to win the Powerball in America. And actually, there were some funny stats like you've got more chance of being struck by lightning twice on your birthday than having one of these NFT projects really do well. And it's really interesting when I look at your project, which was huge in obviously 2022, did nearly like 100 million in trading volume. And then you look at some of the holder behavior and you think, right, what's going on here? And you've had this recent resurgence, which I think is brilliant. What do you kind of credit that to? And then we'll kind of go a bit more into your origin story and your background in art.
I think the fact that it stayed is because we've stayed, right? Like, I mean, it would, to be honest, if we'd have just left back then, and left it as it is, I think it still would have held significance because it did serve a significant point in NFT history, right? For Web3, and the art is iconic and it has its own story. But what makes it special is the community and the people that rally around it. And that phenomenon, started in early 2021 when PFP projects started becoming a thing. And I was just so fascinated with the social aspect of it. And so we really leaned hard into that and created something that not only we wanted to be part of, but I assumed would, kind of bring together others like us, that were aligned, and it did. And I think that's the special part of it. The fact that we're still here, pushing into the vision that we had originally, and working really hard and developing things. And I think it's maybe encouraging to the community that have believed in the brand from the beginning and can see where it can and will go. So yeah, I think that's
it strikes me that like obviously I've listened to lots of footage of you speak, but you really understand the psychology behind the holding and the social signaling. And it's interesting because we've interviewed quite a few founders and they don't probably lean into the, I guess, the geeky side of NFTs as much, and more kind of leaning towards building the IP, but you understand the psychology of it. And it's interesting when you actually look at Deadfellaz in terms of the holder behavior. I think there's like 74% of the holders only hold one. I looked on NFT Scan, and there's like 89% of the collection hasn't moved since mint day. So it's like there's obviously there's this expressive nature to it, and obviously you've connected with the community, and you will know the psychology behind the holder is that when you have one and you've built an online friendship group around that asset, it becomes very difficult to let go of, which obviously is going to make this next uptrend really interesting. Is there any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I've got loads of thoughts around that. Deadfellaz is a bit of an outlier in terms of statistics and the way that the collectors behave, and it always has been. And I think that that's because we approached it. I think I was a little bit naive in 2021 and 2022 when things were really crazy. I didn't realize a lot of these other collections were seeding NFTs to influencers and gifting them to celebrities, and had market makers as part of the the volume of liquidity that was flowing in and out of the collection. I didn't know that sort of thing was happening to the extent that it was, and so we never participated in anything like that. And so everything that you see in terms of like, from Elijah Wood to changing his profile picture to a dead fella, to
Yeah.
Beckham Jr. buying a dead fella and posting about it, those things were not fabricated or organized by us. They just happened because people wanted to do it. And so because of that, you have this these unique metrics, like the distribution is really high for a 10,000 collection that is completely organic. The amount of people that have just one is really high for a 10,000 collection, and the listed Deadfellaz is really, really low. And when you look at things like that, you think about the psychology behind it. I never designed this intending on getting people to like buy it and hold it forever, and not be able to let go. And I've never been one to sell shame or be like,
The irony is they might hold it forever.
yeah, they might. But I think it's because they've collected something that they want to be part of. It's like for different reasons than you might buy something to flip or to trade. It is just a different kind of project. It's in its own lane, and it's in its own lane for so many reasons. One of them definitely being that, yeah.
The thing I like about the story is it was kind of born out of adversity. So I know that you, in the pandemic, you mentioned about you had bushfires and then you were losing work. I think, is it a marketing firm that you have?
Yeah, we were a full stack development agency. So we
Right.
we produced materials of all kinds, video
Yeah.
games, graphics, everything, for really large companies around the world. And it was all kind of centered around really fun events and things on
Yeah.
a large scale. And then obviously when COVID happened and everything got closed down and no events were happening, and art just took an absolute nosedive. Anything creative took a nosedive.
Yeah.
So we lost so much. We actually had a huge job with the Olympics, and the Olympics got cancelled. So it was so shocking. We had, a newborn and two other young kids, and we were in lockdown, and it was just so hectic. Psych, the co-founder of Deadfellaz, the artist, and my husband, has always been a digital artist and was part of an art collective called Deathcore that he joined when we were really young. And some of the artists in that collective introduced him to NFTs. He introduced me to NFTs. We were involved in a lot of the branding for like the 4156 event and Crypto Voxels and Rare Pepe event. And through that, we met crypto punks that were, OGs in that community that taught us about smart contracts and helped us launch Deadfellaz. So it kind of was born through the sharing of information and giving people a leg up and opening doors. And that's the spirit of Web3 that I know and love, and that brought me in here. And I think that we lost that spirit a little bit over the last few years with a difference in focus from the overall industry. And I feel like that energy is sort of coming back a bit now, which is really encouraging.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can see it as well.
You're certainly going to inspire a lot of people. Where does that initial creativity come from? I know Psych, your husband, he does most of the art, right? Or obviously,
Deadfellaz was actually my idea. So
yeah, I'll let you take it away. But I just want to track back because I've listened to about 3 or 4 hours of podcasts of you, and one of the things is obviously people want to know the origin story because they get kind of inspiration out of it. But like both your parents were creatives, right? And then that was put on a pedestal in the household, or
yeah, no. So my mum is a nurse, but my
right.
mum is a brilliant woman who has always worked very, very hard. She's got research in asthma published in journals, and she was, one of the first nurse practitioners to be able to prescribe in the UK. Like, she's always been a real go-getter and, very determined, and seeing her break barriers and do things. She got a degree when I was a kid. Like, I watched her graduate. So she was someone that has kind of shown me that you can do things a bit differently. And then my dad is a musician. So I grew up at thrash metal gigs and in festivals and stuff. As a little kid, I'd be like side stage, and so I had this kind of upbringing of creative meets like intellect, I guess, and it just, yeah, that's what formed me as a person, I think.
I love it. In one of your interviews, you said that you knew before you launched Deadfellaz that this was going to hit. This was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Just tell me back to that time when obviously you're getting up at 6 a.m. in the morning, you work into midnight or 1 a.m. You've got the kids running around the house. You're trying to launch this project, which at the time seems a little bit faddy. People not really sure where the value is. You don't know if this is going to work out. What's kind of going through your mind when you're launching this? Do you think did you really think it was going to hit, or did you
Just a
just
bit,
know?
didn't seem fatty to me at all. I just
Yeah,
knew, like, I know that this is going to do well because I know what this is. I understood. I had spent a long time observing and
mm,
studying, and I do understand people and communication and I guess social psychology really well. And I had just been watching and learning and engaging, and I just really did know that it was going to do well because I saw what was happening. I saw the trajectory of what was going on. I knew nothing like Deadfellaz existed. I knew something had to exist, and I knew that we could do it. So it just made complete sense to me. And I wasn't. I get this feeling with other things that I do in my life, and I've always just followed my gut, and it's led to some pretty amazing things, some very serious challenges along the
mm,
way. I've got very high risk tolerance, but it's led to a really interesting life, and that's something that I really like about myself, and I'll continue
yeah.
following because it makes life interesting. It's not boring.
I've found when I haven't listened to my gut, I've always gone wrong. I think your gut is probably more a tell than what your brain is, to be honest. But yeah, I think that's spot on. I think the thing that strikes me about you is obviously you've got a lot of self-awareness. You understand yourself, but also you understand other people very well and the psychology of other people. But another thing that you said is that you represent something uncommon in the space, which is obviously you're a female founder.
Yeah,
And I just want to read out kind of some of the stats in kind of Web3 around sort of females in the space. So they only make up 13% of founders. So bearing in mind you've got this trillion to one NFT project, plus you're a female founder, which the odds are even smaller. And then 22% of females make up leadership roles, and then 6% of them are CEOs. What do you think of those stats? How do you think we kind of improve on that? I know that you do speak a lot on the timeline around social issues and obviously the kind of gender differences and how people are treated. So it was a question I wanted to ask you.
yeah. I mean, to me, I think we were sold a bit of a fairy tale bullshit narrative where Web3 was this like, great equalizer where anyone could come in and be anonymous and make anything of themselves and do this and that. And I think that, if there's a possibility there for that to happen, and there has been a decentralization of opportunity for people to take advantage of, which has been great. But the people that hold the most power and the most influence in this space are largely people that hold that power and influence in outside of Web3, right? And
Yeah,
that it reflects an imbalance that exists and is not something that you can excuse away. We're on the intersection of male dominated industries being art and tech and finance, and disproportionately men are in positions of power, in positions of more opportunity, higher paid. It's a well-known fact that if a woman signs her artwork, it goes for less, and if a man signs his artwork, it sells for more. And
right.
these are real statistics that
Yeah,
affect how people engage in stuff like this. And so for me to be here, and this was an important part of the decision making behind me doxing and choosing to be visible as myself, was because I did realize that I represented an underrepresented cohort of people that deserve to have opportunity and space here. It's been a frustrating journey because I have had to fight really hard to not be put in a box. I don't want to be put in the women in Web3 box, because
Yeah.
once you're shoved in there, all of a sudden your project is a project for women, which, you know, has been unfortunately applied to a lot of really cool things that women have made. And I didn't want that, because I'm just a person that's created something for everyone.
Mm.
You know, which is also the reason
Yeah.
behind the trait systems in Deadfellaz. Like, I didn't want it. I wanted anyone to come and be like, right, well, that's me or that's me. And it doesn't matter who you are. But yeah, I mean, it's important to also, while I don't want to be like, she's a woman in Web3, put her in that box, I am proud of being able to represent women and, you know,
It's
show
good.
them that
Do you
possibilities.
follow any of the other female-led projects? Obviously, World of Women, I guess, was like the frontier project. Do you look at anything that they're doing or any of the other projects?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that any original founders from that time, or many of them, there are a few, but I'm not sure. There are not many that are still around. And
Mm.
honestly, the experiences that I have had over the years, I can understand why.
Yeah.
You know, like, it is. I
Because
will
there's
write a
public.
book when I am
Sorry,
old. I'll write a book when I'm old,
I'll
and
buy
when
it.
this is long gone and it's not a
Yeah.
big deal, then I'll write a book and talk about that. But it's crazy, man. Like,
I think
it really.
I think the public scrutiny of executing in public was different because you had a lot of, I mean, even like the Kevin Roses of the world who couldn't handle it. The public scrutiny of having to execute in public, and then I think you've got the double layer of, obviously, like, in using your own words, you represent something uncommon to the space, which is now you're a female. Now you get judged on a completely different level. So it's sort of amplified. Um, but the looking at the holder behavior and the success that you've had, it's likely that Deadfellaz just goes to a higher level. Obviously, I don't want to do any price speculation or whatever, but if you have a 90% supply crunch of people not letting something go, it's going to develop this Lindy effect of them ever letting it go. And then it's like Zeneca says that NFTs are infinite regret. If they go up in price, you don't want to let it go because you've only got one. And then when it goes down in price, you think, shit, I should have sold, blah, blah, blah. But there is a real reality here where this goes to 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 Ethereum. You might not think that, but I believe that. But you might not. But is there, because I asked Chimpas this, I think I asked Good Vibes Club this as well, which is there a plan for, like, when it gets to those levels? Or you're just going to keep executing the way you are, and if people just buy up the asset, then it's just the way it is. But obviously, there's this financial element which people are buying it because they want it to go up in price. And obviously, when something that you buy goes up 100x, do you kind of feel any pressure on you to kind of sustain the price of it, or?
No, I don't. I feel more pressure when the price is right. It's a weird thing, because we are building something that is, you know, long term, in a traditional sense, while it's very, very non-traditional, on a foundation that is just made of quicksand and so unpredictable. And so to build in response to the movements of a market that is so fickle and insane, would be also equally as insane. So we build regardless of what's going on. We have our plan and we stick to it. I think that, again, with the naivety, you know, maybe I did not prioritize the collectors that were buying to flip and to trade, because that isn't my priority, and it's not the reason
Yeah.
why I would buy an NFT project. But realizing the importance of that, and you know, the symbiosis that is needed in a market like we have, I have started leaning more into that, and like, you know, I'm sure you've seen on the timeline, like actively searching for whales and
Yeah.
through like different experiments and things like that. And so I have come to that point, but I still would not change what we do in response to any sort of price action, because
I
I
like
mean
what
it's
you do. I
it
like what you do because I
yeah.
like what you do because you're very much boots on the ground, and it does remind me of other projects that I've had interactions with, and you reply to everyone. And I actually think I go the opposite. It's funny, Burge said this on another live stream, Simon, about you just need a one whale to come in, and I actually think it's just this is a boots on the ground one-on-one game, because each person who holds one makes the network infinitely stronger. Then if a whale wants to come in and buy a whole bunch of assets, then I suppose that's good. For the financial side of stuff. Simon, I can see you nodding along there. I just want to bring you into the conversation.
I was just thinking, there's so many things that you were saying, Betty, and you were asking Jaden there, so many things one could talk about. One thing as a holder, you know, just from a holder perspective, the truth is that throughout the testing times, the bear market times, aren't they? And my God, it's been a long one. And you can't avoid the truth, which is the teams, the people, the individuals who show up throughout a period of time when things aren't great. And it's measurable. You see it, you experience it, you read it. And the point is that I became a member, it's so strange to say this, years ago. It's like, it feels like NFTs have been around for decades. But and I did that because I absolutely love the art, first up. So talking from literally from a collector's point of view, because it was so different. And also that I've stayed there because of the fact that you and the team have been showing up, and that you can't avoid it.
Yeah, it's been a really weird thing in this last 2 weeks, because I think that there has been a resurgence of perhaps my presence on people's feeds that they haven't seen me in a while. But they haven't seen me just because they haven't seen me. Like, I have been here every single day.
Yeah, you have.
And I have been, you know, not marketing in the same way, because nobody was able to do that. You know, we were in a really serious era of development and making sure that we have product. And now you're seeing the fruits of that labor, because we have, you know, our games like starting to roll out, and different fun things that we're able to talk about now. And it just happens that the timing is great, because the market has shown green shoots and signs of life again. So it's kind of just all come to a nice little point of good timing. And you know, me returning as the CEO, I when we talk about me returning, like, I never actually left. I never stopped working for Deadfellaz. Yeah.
I was going to say, Betty, just to say, I know it sounds crazy, you always seem to be present on X, even when you left, which is the funny thing.
I didn't, you know, when I left, it wasn't that I left, it was that I stepped back slightly, and it was literally just because I had so many things going on and my health demanded it from me. I developed like chronic conditions, like I got diagnosed with Meniere's disease and like a bunch of other things. And it was just a necessity. Like, I had to step back, and I don't think I stepped back as much as I should have probably done. But I did. And then, you know, now I'm good and I'm back, and it's just like really good timing, I guess. So it kind of irritates me to be lumped in with like the people that have come back in fair weather, you know.
But I've seen a lot of that.
I can understand why people would think that if they just haven't seen me. But I just encourage you to like scroll back for the last 3 years.
Well, I think true. With your content.
It's true.
The reason why you
didn't even notice you'd left.
The reason you came up on my radar is because we started, I guess, communicating through. I think it was the Punk Strategy blog. I think you liked it or something, and then you followed me. I was like, oh, Betty's followed me. This is cool. And obviously, I didn't know you. But then I started looking at your project, and it's interesting how the attention flows, and you just being visible on the timeline. I will say that your posts are very interesting, and I actually been reading a lot of them, and I think, well, I might use it as a bit of a strategy for myself, because you're a very good storyteller. And then you like, I think there was one where I'm going to butcher it because I'm not going to remember off the top of my head. But you I think you used to walk up some stairs in some city that you're in, and it looked like a dark alley, and you thought you're going to be chased when you went through this hallway, and you took a picture of it. It was really clever how you did it. And Malcolm Gladwell, who's a writer, and obviously I'm a writer as well, he says the only job for a writer is to be interesting. Just be interesting, and then people follow you. And that's obviously why I kind of connected with you. But I have been in the TokenWorks ecosystem. I know that's come up on your radar. There is obviously this convergence between NFTs and coins. There's been a whole bunch of NFT projects that have tried to do the TGE. It kind of feels a little bit extractive. So you've got obviously these big projects launching coins. Then you've got people trying to front run the NFT to make the claim, selling the NFT, selling the coin, and it's a shit show in short. Obviously, TokenWorks has come up, and it feels like they've kind of solved that. Is there anything on your horizon that you might lean into to a token as the next kind of value add for NFT holders, or have you thought about it? Or
yeah, so listen, when TokenWorks launched and they had the punk strategy, I was in that guy's DMs within hours. I was like, how do we do this for Deadfellaz? I want this for Deadfellaz right now. And I was ignored. And that's fine. It's fine, because there was obviously a plan. They already had people, you know, ready to roll things out and all of that stuff, and it went on. And I was shout out to you, Adam, because I was annoying for a long time. I was just in the DMs. You've got to do that, guys, if you want something.
Yeah, well, listen, he doesn't answer my DMs.
You just got to get in there and ask and ask and ask. And yeah, so it was pretty awesome, in my opinion, to see it roll out, because I thought, well, you know, we've got all of these tokens that are launching, and while I'm not against tokens at all, I think it's great, but at the same time, like, we were not in a position to launch an ecosystem token at any point over the last 3 years. Like, it would have been stupid. I like the idea and I'm not against it, but it would have been dumb. We didn't. But we do have a token, you know, that's an in-game rewards token for Dead Lucky, and that's that. It's not an ecosystem token. It's not an overall thing. It's just part of that game, and it's optional. It's not even, you know, detrimental to the gameplay or anything. But in terms of strategy tokens, I think what's really cool is the alignment between the NFT collectors and the community and their involvement, the health of the project. And then when we think back to that financial aspect of collecting and holding and all of that, it just, to me, it kind of gave life to the symbiosis of the ecosystem in a way that felt positive to everyone. And I really, really enjoyed seeing what the different projects were doing, how they were implementing it. I thought what Chimpers did was great. I thought what Good Vibes Club did was great. Wrecked, even, you know, they had already a token. I just thought it was really cool. And I also thought it leaned into the spirit of experimentation and just doing stuff, you know, like, all of a sudden it felt like people were doing things again that pushed boundaries and were rethinking how things can happen, and the processes behind how to, you know, even coexist with the community and build alongside them. Like, it just felt really cool to see. I still like it. I think it's great. And yeah, but we've got like all kinds of plans of things. And
yeah, I mean, it's a shame that he didn't reply to you, because I think the success of certainly the Punkster ecosystem is getting more people in the network and from different audiences.
I agree with that, and I think it's great. But at the same time, I do think that potentially the timing is positive to have left it, because how we approach growth and moving to the next stage has always been healthy rather than like jolty.
I like it.
Sense it's like that's very good.
It was interesting seeing how World Women responded, because I think they had a similar response in the yes but not now kind of response from Adam, but they dived into their own particular version, didn't they?
Yeah, and you know, I think a few people potentially did that, and I think a few people maybe rushed ecosystem tokens to not miss out, because, and I can understand that, because when you're a founder and you're seeing things roll out, and maybe you had that in the pipeline, you know, maybe so you don't get left behind in that kind of scarcity mindset of like, oh man, you know, they're doing what I planned and they're doing it before me. And you've got to just, I think, patience and
I heard some Yorkshire accent there when you said that.
We're going to get it out of you. Two Brits. You're speaking to two Brits.
We're 32 minutes into this call. We've had our first bit of Yorkshire accent come out.
Yes. I'm going to go and get a cup of tea.
I actually do have Yorkshire tea in my cupboard.
Oh,
I do as well.
Oh, there we go. Now it's coming out. We're going full Yorkie. I think obviously you've worked in marketing and you're brilliant marketer. I think the strategy token is a bit of a lead magnet into the ecosystem, because obviously I personally just look at my own journey. I looked at punk strategy, got into it. Then you're going onto the Strategy Fund website and you're looking at Chimpers and Good Vibes Club and Painster and all of these others on there. And it's leaning you into it, and you think, "Oh, I have a bit of that," and then all of a sudden, because the entry is low, it works as a bit of a lead magnet into the NFT project. So you have a bit of Vibester or whatever, and then you start looking at the NFT, and then you go through the consideration phase. You're in the Discord. That Discord is like a different world altogether. And I think actually it might be a solution to some of these high floor prices, because you can get people into your ecosystem who want to participate, but the entry isn't, you know, thousands or tens of thousands for an individual NFT. So you don't get this kind of stagnation, but then also it kind of keeps the value locked in the ecosystem. And I think it could be a really good solution, especially for successful NFT projects, because like Tyler Gio said, you're not going to create a Solana runner here. You're not going to create an Ethereum competitor as a coin unlock. So it's just like, yeah, sorry, Betty, you wanted to...
I agree. I think that is, it's like you look at brands like what Pudgy did, and, you know, with the Pudgy token, it's the same thing. I mean, that isn't designed, you know, to go kind of all in on itself like the strategy tokens, but at the same time, it provides an entry point that isn't like, you know, however many ETH Pudgy is now. Yeah, so I agree. I think it's great. I do. I like it.
I just want to shout out Victoria Vedandi. Victoria is a female artist, obviously following, and she says this is great, which is amazing. She's actually the first ever female solo artist on Ethereum. So there's all of these artists out there that people kind of haven't heard of. That and she's been around the space for a very long time. Actually, a very good person as well. So I thought I'd just give her a shout out. And obviously, just to everyone, the 127 in here, I really appreciate it. If you do me a massive favor and just share the stream on whatever platform you're listening to, really appreciate this. Betty, this is a great conversation. I'm having probably more fun than most of the viewers, to be honest. So, did you want to ask anything? I can see you taking yourself off mute.
No, I'm stealing the more fun, much more fun than talking to me.
No.
We have good conversations offline. I was going to ask you, not without necessarily to be too heavy about it, but you know, you mentioned about you have your story to tell in the future when this is all faded a little bit, or maybe it won't ever fade. What would you say to women coming in now who are adopting a leadership role in a project, a collection, a Web3 business, entering right now? They come in 2026. It does feel a bit different, which is nice, a little bit more positive. But what would you say? What kind of advice would you give to women?
I don't think it's more positive for women right now.
Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, I feel like actually it's gotten a little bit when I first started in Web3, there were a lot more women and, you know, people of all different backgrounds, and now it does feel a little bit more homogenous. And I think it's because the macro environment and, you know, the geopolitical narrative potentially swung a little bit towards a space that is not as welcoming as it was. And so, and a lot of the behavior that goes on online, especially on Twitter, sorry, X, I'm going to call it Twitter till I die. I don't care.
Yes.
That behavior has, I think, become a lot more accepted and encouraged. And like, it's almost like hunting for sport, you know, like people being torn down and all of that sort of thing. But then there's also on the inverse of that, there's a lot of people that just rage bait for engagement's sake and like start those fights rather than having any sort of like substance behind the argument. And it's all just a lot. And I just think if you're going to come into this industry, just know it's hard. I think I had a rude awakening. I had a rude awakening.
You get a lot of trolling, or is it
yeah, constant. Yeah, constant. And then when it gets worse for me, it gets worse when I'm at like live events. It gets really bad. There's like, you know, you'll get threats, you'll get messages, you'll get people sending you like crazy videos, and it's all a lot. It's crazy. And that is a shared experience, I think, for a lot of women online. Like any woman that's been online for any stretch of time in a constant way on any platforms will know that that is just how it is. But to be in this particular niche online is just a special kind of, you just got to be so tough. You do.
So that would be your advice, really.
Yeah, just that's the advice. It's hard and you've got to be tough, and that's just how it is.
I've just had a message from Peter here. He says, obviously, because this is being streamed from Substack as well. Jaden, look at your Substack live stream. I sent a couple of messages. Peter, if you're desperate to get a message, just send it on X, please, because it doesn't pull through the comments, unfortunately, through Substack. But folks, the 137 of you here, I really appreciate it. Obviously, if you're just joining us now, you can get the recording through the link in my bio at carolane.com. Pop your email address in. It'll be sent to you, or I'll pin it to the top of my X page, and you can get it on there. Betty, I just want to kind of segue a little bit into kind of the wider market. Are there any other NFT projects that you've seen? Obviously, you've been executing, but any other ones that you've seen, you think, hold on a second, these look like really good plays? Because obviously in the earlier days, you collected NFTs yourself. Are there any ones that you look at that you think this is one I'm bullish on, or you just like the art?
There's loads.
Okay. Tell us your best ones.
No, because every time I do this, I'll get messages from founders like, you didn't mention me. And I'm
okay.
Of course.
Okay.
So I'm just one person and my brain is very full and I'm very tired and I'm trying.
Fine.
There's a lot of really good ones. I've seen, I got to shout out Normies by Cirque. I think,
okay.
You know what, like seeing the experimentation again is cool. The playing around with technology and emerging technology, and it's shifting as the technology shifts. And I really like that a lot. And he's a guy that is just trying all these different things in a really fun way. It's bringing back that fun energy again. I really like that. There's brands that are taking their IP really seriously and really, really pushing into, you know, traditional spaces while bringing Web3 energy. Like, obviously, you've got to shout out Chimpers for that. And I love the Chimpers team so much. They're so great. Good Vibes Club, obviously, amazing. Wrecked, I've been a massive fan of. I just think they're so brilliant. Like, the founders are so intelligent, and the way that they've approached traditional business with just this like crazy degen flair is so awesome to see. And it's just such a fuck you to you know, traditional corporations, and I just love seeing it so much. And I every time they post something that they've achieved, I'm like, yes, that's so great. That challenging of the corporate what is what brought me to this space. I was like, wow, well, you know, the infrastructure of Web3 seems to be just really challenging the status quo. So when you see people using that and executing it in a way that actually is doing that, it's really, really cool.
The thing I like about hearing you speak is it's not player versus player. You very much you want other people to do well. I think people realize now that this is not, I know there's a bit of tribalism in NFTs and it's like us versus them. I notice it in little narratives, even like in the historical community who collect historical assets. It's like, guys, all of this stuff is exactly the same stuff. It's like, don't need to turn it into tribalism. Same with the IP players. It's like they kind of pit against each other. Whereas I think the founders behind these projects realize actually we can all do well. And that's probably reflected in the NFT projects by market cap. I don't know if you've seen NFT Floor. If you look at it, the top 300 by market cap, including yours, are all up off of their lows, which kind of means that actually all of them can do well because they're just essentially community tokens and people form their kind of friendship groups around these things.
I think about it in the sense of like, in what world would you have a category of, you know, an asset class of any kind or a product, say like a drinks company? In what world are there only 10 drinks companies that are allowed to do well? It's insane.
Yeah.
For so many brands, it's not possible. But for hundreds of brands within our industry, it is possible because that is what a healthy ecosystem looks like. And so when I, you know, cheer for another team, it's because their win is my win. Like, we're all trying to prove ourselves as, you know, a serious, I guess, corner of industry. And in order to do that, we need not one winner. We can't just have one winner. It has to be like there are multiple people doing well in their own lanes. And I've always just been a fan of what other people are doing. And I've always celebrated other projects ever since I started. And I'll never stop doing that. And I used to get, sometimes people used to be like, why do you always tweet about other people's projects? Because I want to. That's why.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yeah, because I'm from Yorkshire and I want to. And I was going to say, Betty, I was going to say to you, I don't know whether you agree with this or not, but it feels a little bit like projects or collections are supporting each other a bit more at the moment, but you may not see it that way.
Yeah, I do now. I think that a lot of founders maybe that weren't in the beginning have come around and realized that actually everybody was hurting in the same way. And the camaraderie and the support that can be provided to each other is, you know, essential to the survival of this industry. And nobody is coming to save us except us. Like, and it's the same with, like, you know, my brand. Like, if I sat around and did nothing, it's not going to do anything. No one is coming to like magically make Deadfellaz into something amazing. I have to do that, you know, like we have to do that, me and my team. And it's realizing that on a macro level as well. Like, if you don't offer your services to other people and you're not like helping each other out and sharing information, no one's going to do it, and we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. The two sets of brothers from Good Vibes Club and Chimpers, they coordinated ahead of the strategy token, and I I did interviews with both of them, and there's actually some data, some Harvard data to say that actually family-run businesses and sibling businesses actually outperform. They outperform the stock market, which is, I was going to play that twist with you in Psych, and obviously you guys have worked together for a very long time. And actually, what people don't realize is that's something that kind of de-risks your investment. When you've got two people who are together and in it together in the trenches, it's like, this is a forever thing. And it's
to the point where it's like, this is my family's life. Like, this is, you know, we designed it in reflection of us. And it's been our day-to-day life for years, and it will be, because this is our legacy together as a family. And we also are, you know, still in control of the brand and still the owners of the brand. And that cannot be said for many other NFT projects. That's another differentiator. You know, we never raised like 20, 50 million like other NFT companies back then. And while that's been, you know, it's led to like us really having to push and struggle and sacrifice to like make sure we got where we need to be. At the same time, you know, now we're still in control. I don't have a board of directors telling me what to do or what to say or any of that. And being a family run brand is awesome. Yeah, the same thing with Chimpers and with Good Vibes Club. I think you can feel it too, right? Like, you can feel it with them.
Feel the boots on the ground. Yeah, like Jacob, if I message him, he messages back like 2 a.m. There's no airs and graces with him. And I feel the same with you, actually. You reply to a lot of the comments, and people, it's actually now access. Like that first cycle that we went through, it was like you didn't really know anything about the founder. And now it's like, I think there's that pendulum shift of actually the transparency, which I think the doxing is a good thing. I think it's a great thing. I know from listening to your interviews, you had a bit of trepidation around doxing yourself. You weren't really sure. But in my opinion, I think it's a great thing. Because obviously, look at the conversation we're having now, which is good. I just want to, did you want to dive in there, Betty? Because I've just got a question from someone. Go on, Simon.
I call myself Betty then. I am now Betty. I was just going to say, without steering off, because I did see a really good question come in. I was just curious because often also those partnerships, that family thing, whether it's husband and wife, brothers, usually one complements the other as well in terms of their skill set, right? And obviously you're highly creative and you came up with a huge amount of ideas for Deadfellaz itself. I get the sense with Syke, he's a real innovator and he's not just a creative as in an artist, but with his games.
He is.
That's what I get a sense of.
Yeah, he is like, he comes at things and he is able to engineer logic in a way that it just doesn't make any sense to me. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll explain things to him in a marketing sense, in a community sense. Like I understand people and I understand culture and all of those things, and communication and the packaging of it all. And he is very much like I guess he's like a human computer in some ways, but a very creative one. Very creative one, because he'll explain something and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And you're just talking about going to the shops.
I just asked if you want a Yorkshire cup of tea, mate. Fucking hell.
Yeah, you don't have to analyze the whole tea bag. But
for real,
I relate to that. I relate to that, Betty. That's why I asked you.
The Dead Lucky game is an original game. To design a game like that, you have to be cracked. There's something going on that's not normal. People can't do that. You can't design. It's just insane to me that someone has the ability to do that, but he does, and so that's cool because I can't.
That's great.
He can't do what I do. So it's nice.
Firstly, I just want to open up some questions to people who are watching in the audience. There's 144 people here. I've had a few questions over on Substack. Unfortunately, because I'm going live on Substack, I can't actually read those questions. So Peter, who messaged earlier, he's just tweeted. He said, Betty live on Jaden's Substack talking about Deadfellaz. I'm broke as fuck now, but I want to buy a Deadfellaz when I can afford it. Which so yeah, remortgage your house, Peter. This is financial advice. No, I'm joking.
Do your own research.
Yeah, do your own research.
I don't know.
And then he's followed up with probably a more sensible question, which is, Betty, do you plan something special for the 5-year anniversary of Deadfellaz launch this year?
Yes, hopefully, yes.
Okay.
Can't say anything.
Is there something you want to release on this live stream?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
you're traveling to Yorkshire to do
Betty.
a big event.
I'm only joking. It's not
in the coal mining museum, maybe.
I love it. In
the pit.
I just want to say a massive thank you to the people who have shared the live stream. It's the reason why they grow. Prolific.eth has shared it, which I really appreciate. Amit, who's a regular on the live streams, has also shared it. We're going to end things there. But Simon, have you got anything else you want to chuck on as a bit of closing thought?
It was just one thing, because I know, Betty, you mentioned in 2021, you were fascinated, as you said already, about psychology, and particularly you noticed the psychology of people sort of gathering around things like Bored Ape Yacht Club in the early days and what was making people tick. And obviously then it went completely mad in 2021. Where do you think the psychology is at the moment in 2026 with people? Because I think it feels more positive, but I just get a sense from where you think we're at with that.
I think there's a lot of different things that's going on at the moment. I think that there is a sense of validation and I told you so that is happening with people, where it's like, I've stuck in here, I've been here this whole time, now things are ticking back up. and they're proud of that and proud of themselves. And it's like a whole there's like a celebration sort of thing happening, and like a you know, you've been validated in your choice. You're not insane. I think that's going on a little bit. And I think that there is also this cloud over the world at the moment, in the same way that there was over the world in 21, where things were really shit all over for a lot of different people. And I think that that is, while it's a different cloud, it's still a very dark cloud, and it's over a lot of people. And online, the environment is toxic and negative, and you know, a lot of these issues you can't escape, and it's not healthy to just push them aside and pretend they don't exist. But when you have a positive area of the internet that you're frequenting so much, to be in and to celebrate each other and to try and create something positive with each other, I think people take that. And so while, you know, there are a lot of financial reasons why the market might be ticking up, that's not my area of knowledge or expertise. I am not a market person, but I am a person that studies society and culture. And I think that that is a big driver of what's going on at the moment. People looking for community and positivity. And you can really, when it comes to stuff like this and things are happening and the world is so crazy, I think people start to look at, rather than worrying about what's going on all over the world, it's like, what have you got control over, and what can you do as an individual? And that is lean into the community that you're a part of, whether it's online or whether it's in, you know, in real life. And I think a lot of people are doing that now and coming together to create cool things. At the start of the year, I predicted that IRL would be something that moves big this year, and you've seen that across the different NFT brands, like really leaning into that, because I think that it is it's the pendulum swing from being hyper online, you know, cold and separate and isolated and pulled apart by governments and narratives and all that, and now things are swinging back and we're coming back to each other. So I think that's happening.
I totally agree. NFTs are so much about people, aren't they? And connection. That's the truth.
Really,
and
we want to belong, don't we? We want to mean something to each other, I think, and be heard and be seen. And these communities give us the opportunity to do that.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Betty, that's been like, this has been a long time in the making, but I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
For the whole bunch of people that have joined us, and obviously this will go out on the newsletter, where can people follow you? Where's the best place for them to follow you?
I'm mostly on Twitter/X, Betty_NFT, which the NFT suffix was a source of almost embarrassment at one point, like last but now, you know, I'm proud. I'll keep it. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I don't go on Instagram ever, but I should. And I'm sort of everywhere where people are online.
I love that. Simon, thanks for your time. Betty, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
To the 153 of you that have joined us, really appreciate you. If you want to get the recording, either pinned to one of our pages, or you can go to carrotlane.com and get the recording into your inbox. Really appreciate you guys joining. Thanks very much. Thank you, Betty.
Thanks, Betty. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.